Yes, sir.
Cool. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Just
Cool.
hanging out. It's good to see you.
You
I
too,
haven't
man.
talked to you in a while, and feels good to connect with
Yeah, you
someone.
too.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. I agree. Been stuck in the house for so long.
Yeah, I like your wall of monuments
thank,
behind you, all
thank
your
you.
memorabilia.
I have one picture here that, like, every time I barely touch it, it just completely falls off. So I have to do a little work on it. But that's all right.
Yeah, you need better adhesive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all that stuff packed away. I've like tried to put it up somewhere, but it's just once I move into a bigger place, I'll probably find a shrine.
Yeah.
But
Right.
right now it's all like packed away in a box, so I'd have to like look and see what I've got. But
Yeah. It took
you
me a
know,
while
part
to
of the
find all
collection,
this
man.
stuff too. Yeah. I had some of it that I was like, damn, I don't even remember where all this went. I was super sad about it.
Yeah. Forget how many years you marched in the B Corps as well.
Only one, just 2011.
Oh,
Just
really?
yeah.
Dang. See, I thought you were like Brandon Gedalia, where you did like 11
I
years
know
in
he
the B
did.
Corps.
He did so many.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Him and Daniel Makoder and Andrew Zamora, they all marched just like
Right.
so many years. Yeah.
A lot of good drummers did it back in like the early, 2010s.
Yeah. Is my audio okay? It sounds kind of fuzzy. Let me see it. I want to see.
I mean, to me, you're a little quiet.
Oh, okay. Let me fix
I'm
that.
more worried about my audio.
Let me see.
I'm just going off of a MacBook Pro here.
I'm just going off of a MacBook Pro. Okay, no, it sounds fine.
Word.
Sick. Cool, man. So yeah, I just wanted to double check that. Cool, man. How's everything been for you? How's life with COVID and all that stuff? Like, what have you been up to?
Well, you're kind of looking at it. Doing the online lessons and doing the virtual teaching thing. Uh, Honestly, it was a little stressful at first, just trying to figure out the new format, but we've kind of hit a stride with the programs that I'm teaching online. And it's become pretty useful to
Uh-oh. Sorry, I lost your sound for a second. Give me 2 seconds. 1 sec. I'll get it back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. It's kind of weird. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we're good now.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
Sweet.
Sorry, what were you
No
saying?
worries. Yeah, so just working on the virtual lessons and stuff. It's getting easier,
Mm-hmm.
you know. We're just kind of adjusting to the new format, and the next month or so, we're going to start meeting again in person and doing some
That's
sectionals
good.
and trying to
That's good.
work that whole thing out. And the season keeps changing every week, as things develop, and we kind of kick the ball down the hill a little bit more every single week and just kind of see where it ends up and figure out what we can do, what we want to do, what the
Right.
season might become. So yeah, right now it's just, doing the best with what we have and trying to make it work within the parameters
Right.
that we're in. Yeah.
What schools are you teaching at right now?
Just Aliso Niguel High School.
Okay.
And then we're trying to make the Vessel thing happen. And then I do a couple
Right.
private lessons throughout the week.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's good. Yeah, I'm at Lee, and we're not doing a whole lot right now. It's pretty minimal. We shifted from what was it? We were gonna do like that virtual marching band thing that everybody was doing for a little while.
Hmm.
But we changed it from that to it was going to be kind of just lesson based throughout the week, like maybe taking
Sure.
the subs and taking the subsections and doing stuff with them, but that ended up not working either. So we're gonna do now just master classes. I think it's like every week or every other week.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, at least it's something. The kids are still getting something.
Hmm.
The parents are super stoked about it. We have, I think Scott's doing like one. I think Sean
That's
Vega
great.
is doing 2, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So just things like that. So at least they're getting something. Um, but yeah, just starting up on the questions. So where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up in LA, just north of Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley, in a town called Studio City. Kind of like a little pocket of Hollywood. It's kind of up north. It's actually kind of where everyone who kind of works in show business kind of lives
Right.
because no one really wants to live in Hollywood. Yeah, so growing up, I kind of saw a lot of celebrities like at the local coffee shop.
Oh, really?
I saw like Emma Stone at a Chipotle one time.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. So like
What?
I was right on
That's so cool.
I was right on Ventura Boulevard, which is a very popular street in the valley. So yeah, you just kind of see like my dad saw Eddie Murphy at like a Western Bagel.
The hell?
Yeah, so
That's so cool
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah. Growing up, it was a busy place. It was a really busy place.
Right. That's super awesome. I would have. I don't know. Did it ever like get just like, oh, hey, there's whoever.
A little bit, at my girlfriend, she worked on Ventura Boulevard at a restaurant called Lemonade, and she would see like Shia LaBeouf come in, J.K. Simmons come in, I think Magic Johnson came in, and it just kind of became normal after a while. It was just like, all right, they don't like to look you in the eye, just give them their change and move
Really? I
on.
can imagine they're probably just over it. Just like, please, just don't ask me for anything, please. I
Yeah,
just get my stuff and
for
go.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I went to school in Granada Hills, which is a little more up north, but still in that same valley.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I kind of like lived all throughout the valley. I lived in Woodland Hills, lived in Santa Clarita, which is even
Oh,
more up
okay.
north, and went to high school at Granada Hills, just because of their. I think they had like a technology magnet program that I was interested in middle school, but I ended up just doing band and doing music and nothing to do with technology or
Hmm.
any of that stuff that they
Yeah.
offer. But
He just completely shifted.
yeah,
That's
I
cool
mean,
though. How's the band program there?
it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, it kind of dwindled as time went on, but when I was there, the band director was a guy named Al Nilsson,
Hmm.
super passionate dude about band, and
Yeah.
you got the full experience. I mean, band was like zero period every single day, at like 6:15 in the morning, and we had
Damn.
to go to the field every single morning. Um, and we would just do the show every morning for zero period, and then that lasted through first period as well. So it was like 2.5 hours of band every single morning, and
Damn.
then we had our Thursday afternoon sectionals and our Monday nights. So it was a lot of band, and we were
Right.
very competitive in our circuit. And I think we made championships almost every year I was there. So
Were you in
good
WBA
program.
or was there a different?
No, we were SCSBOA.
Okay.
I think we did a couple WBA or MBOS, or I think we did one BOA show, and we didn't do very well. But we were pretty well known throughout, like kind of our circuit, because the band was the Highlanders,
Hmm.
and we wore kilts at our marching band uniform.
Whoa. So you had
Yeah,
to wear a kilt?
yeah,
I want to see
yeah.
that. I would
It
love to
was
see that.
dope. I gotta say, the kilt is it's pretty awesome.
That's
It's,
super cool.
yeah,
What'd
and
you
we had these
wear
like
for like a Shako?
it was like what do the blue coats wear? Like that little helmet thing.
Oh, okay, a helmet.
Yeah, but it had like this little tiny rabbit poof right here. We had that, and we had this jacket, and then the kilt, which had this what was called a sporin,
Hmm.
which is like this little furry pouch that hangs along
Oh,
the middle of
okay.
the kilt.
Yeah.
And like I would put my phone in there and stuff during competitions. Um,
I'm sure that's what they intended it for.
yeah, but it was a little strange. Like we never really did well visually because it was really hard to see our legs.
Oh,
Like you
okay.
could see like the bottom of your shins and then the shoes,
Hmm.
and then you can kind of judge marching based off of that. But groups that wear pants, they like arguably
Yeah.
got another like competitive advantage. So I think after I graduated, they switched to a different competitive uniform, but kept the kilts for football games and parades and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's super cool though. That's I've never seen any other type of band do kilts. Outside of like actual like
Right.
Scottish bands or things
It was
things like
interesting. That's
that.
kind of how we got our reputation as like the kilted band.
Right. That's super cool. What drums did you use? Did you guys?
Yamaha.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice. I think that's probably like the most popular high school
Yeah, they
instrument I've
last a long
seen.
time,
Yeah.
make a great sound. As long as you take care of them, they're great drums.
Nice, man. So how would you rate like your high school experience just overall? Like did you encounter any difficulties? Were there any like
Um,
challenges?
yeah, I mean, definitely with every high school experience, there's always challenges and stuff. But as far as my band experience went, it was definitely a 10 out of 10. I would argue that the only reason I do what I do now is because, I'm constantly trying to relive that experience or give
Hmm.
that experience back to other kids
That's
who want
great.
to do it. So obviously it impacted me uh, incredibly. Um, but I think the biggest challenge was just trying to make it my own after all the seniors left and becoming a leader and
Hmm.
making the decision to do drum corps while also doing high school. My grades weren't very good at all. Like my dad will tell you, like like if you just focused on school the way you like committed to drumming,
Yeah, it never
it'd
happens
be
though.
like I like drumming.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yeah.
why I
That
do it a
I
lot.
don't like math. As soon as math becomes
Exactly.
fun, I'll focus on math. But until then,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's funny. What about so what about college? Where did you go? I actually don't think I've ever
I went
found that out about you.
to Moore Park College, which is a community college. I did that for 2 years, and then I transferred to Cal State Northridge, where I was kind of floating in their music program, trying different majors just to see what I liked. Like I did percussion performance,
Hmm.
and then I switched to music education, and then I realized that was going to take me like 7 years to graduate. And then I switched
Yeah,
to music business, which is like a music industry
I
major.
considered doing that one.
Yeah.
I really did.
And then after like the third time changing majors, I just kind of realized, I'm just kind of like figuring out what I want to do. And I'm already teaching band full time.
Right.
And I'm kind of, I'm half-assing two things. So I just figured if I'm just picking majors to pick what's going to get me out as soon as possible. And so
Right.
I decided to put school on the back burner and just focus on teaching.
Alternate paths that I'm on. Um, and yeah, I like recently just started going back to school.
Hmm.
So I think I talked to like Sean Para,
Hmm.
you know, Daniel. We've said the same thing. Like it doesn't have to happen right away. I don't know
Yeah,
about. I'm,
that's
I'm
what I
sure
always
you're on the
figured.
same. Yeah, on the same
Yeah, I figured
wavelength.
if I would go back, it probably wouldn't be for music. It would be for something, I figured I could get a job in that pays well,
Yeah.
and actually use the degree a little bit more.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I figured I could always go back at any time. And, once I figured out what that was, just the pressure as a 19, 20-year-old to choose one thing for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
I was just like, ugh, it was too much.
Yeah, dude, it's hard because like I mean, especially even with like COVID right now, like how is this going to impact that? You
Exactly.
know, and so I don't know, but anyway, that's a completely different conversation. So what made you want to get into music in the first place? You said that you had originally gone into like technology interests and things like that, right?
Yeah, well, I was really interested in video editing. I was making movies at a young age.
Whoa.
So I was kind of interested in like doing the film route. And so when I went to middle school, I went to a middle school that was really far away from my house because they had like a technology and filmmaking magnet course.
Mm.
So I did that and that was cool. And then, Granada Hills had the same magnet course. But while I was doing all that stuff, I was also taking drum lessons because my dad was like, "You're gonna learn to play an instrument, pick an instrument," and I said drum set because I just knew it was different,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew like everyone plays guitar, everyone does that. Like I don't know anyone who plays drums, and that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I took one lesson, and I hated it, and I told because I felt stupid, and my drum teacher was like this really sarcastic drum set player
Yeah.
he was just like he would laugh at me on purpose, like when I couldn't get something right.
Yeah.
In his mind it was like thinking about it now as a teacher, it was like, it was probably enjoyable for him, but it was not enjoyable for me.
That's fair.
But I knew he was just trying to get me. He was trying to make light of the fact that I wasn't coordinated.
Mm.
But after I came home, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And my dad was like, no, you're going to take like a couple more. So I'm glad he did that because I came back and I finally got the basic rock beat. And I was like, cool, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I was doing drum set for a while. I was in a couple rock bands. Uh,
Ooh. What'd you guys play?
it
What?
was like fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Nah,
like
same
Green
with
Day
me.
type stuff.
Yeah, same with
I,
me.
I basically learned every Green Day song. Just tried to play as fast as Trey Cool did.
Yeah, dude, Trey Cool. It's just like I still tell people Trey Cool is probably the best like beginning drum set player
Yeah,
you could mimic. Which I don't know
yeah,
if he would be offended by that or not, but, because
yeah.
all the
Well,
stuff he
I mean,
plays is
I'm
super
sure
easy.
I'm sure he'd be totally cool with that. But yeah, I was just impressed by the speed. I was just like, I can't play as fast as he can, so I
Yeah.
would try every day to just play faster and faster and faster. And to this day, I think it's probably why I ended up doing the Blue Devils because they
Hmm.
have that same kind of like in your face style.
Ah, okay.
Like at the time, Trey Cool was like, that seems impossible. I want to do that. And then when I saw Blue Devils, I was like, that seems impossible. I want to do that. So I've always kind of gravitated towards that style, I guess.
That makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah. But
That's
once I
super
got
cool.
into high school, and then my mom made me do the marching bands, same kind of thing happened. I didn't like it, but she said, "You're doing it." And after a while, I just kind of fell into, the whole marching world and the people involved in
Mm,
it, and found a family, and then found out I was really good at it. And then everything just kind of snowballed after that.
that's dope. That's super cool. Did you guys had an indoor program, right?
Yeah, how
That's
we
good.
did.
How was that?
It was good. We ended up we started in A class my freshman year, didn't make SCPA finals. Um, and then by the time I was a senior, we were Scholastic World, and I think we beat Ayala a couple times. And that was dope
Hmm.
just to see the progression because it was like freshman year A class, sophomore year A class, and then we got bumped to open class my junior year. And then in my senior year, we just started in world class and tried to make it work. Um, but we never went to WGI or World Championships or anything like that. But the progression of that was actually pretty amazing.
That's
Just
awesome,
how
dude.
good we got in a short period of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm sure it helps having kids that like you found a really deep interest in it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
good,
That's
man.
really all it was. We all just kind of decided, hey, we're all good friends. Let's just all get really good at this. So
Yeah,
we drummed every single day at each
right.
other's house.
That's cool, man. What about
Yeah.
when did you get into like DCI and indoor like WGI? Like what really got you into like RCC?
Probably in 2008 when I saw RCC for the first time, and I didn't know who they were. I think we were at Mission Viejo High School for a competition, and we were sitting in the back stands, and then all these Frenchmen started like walking in to perform, and I was like, "Who are these guys dressed
I
up in
remember I
Frenchmen?"
remember that one. I was like Frenchman,
And
what the hell? But then I
yeah,
was like, oh yeah,
and
that
then
was
they
the show
started
where
doing
they
the
did all
show,
the
and they had all these umbrellas, and then they came out with the snare feature where it looked like the only way I described it is like they looked like they were playing tenors on snare drum, where like the hands were doing crossovers, they were doing back sticks on both hands, and it was so fast, and it was all singles. I saw that, and then like they finished it with this big shot, and then a fat sticks in, and then I remember the crowd around us just geeked
yeah.
out, like everyone just went crazy. And then that night, I went home and I went online, and I found the music, the transcription for that snare break,
Like snare
and
science.
I spent yeah on snare science, and I spent all night learning it, and I showed up like to zero period. And I'm like, I learned it, and my section leader was like, "That's crazy."
So you learned it like overnight. Dude, that's
Yeah, as a
badass.
freshman, I was just like, I want to do that, so I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in RCC now. I can play the snare break.
Yeah,
Everybody just
yeah,
freaked
pretty
out.
sure it wasn't very good. I'm pretty sure I just kind of mumbled my way through it, but
But
it
the
was
other
hard.
kids, they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, they
It's
don't
all
know.
good.
Yeah.
So what about when did you first get into like DCI? What was the first core you ever saw live?
First, okay. So I was playing bass drum my freshman year, and we had a bass drum sectional, and then after it was over, I think the bass tech wanted to go hang out at the mall. So we went to the mall and we went to the Apple store, and the bass tech was like, "You guys ever seen drum corps?" Some kids were like, "Yes." And I was like, I have no idea what that is. So he like goes to the nearest iMac and just like YouTube searches uh, Cavaliers frameworks that show
In an
for
Apple
2002.
store?
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. So we were just hanging out in the Apple store, and I'm watching frameworks on like one of the big iMacs, and
It's a good show
I
to
was just
watch.
like shocked how like pristine it all was. So from that moment for a while, like I wanted to be a Cavalier
Yeah.
because I just started watching Cavalier videos, thinking that was the best of the best. And then I looked up who won DCI finals that year, and it said the Blue Devils, and I was like, "Who's that?" Because I want to know who won. And then I looked that up, and then I saw like that one In the Lot Vic Firth video where they're playing the triplet Accelerando.
Okay.
And I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then after that moment, I wanted to be a Blue Devil. And the first live show I ever saw was in 2008. And I think, Joe, you were there. We went to an on-cue snare drum camp.
I remember that. Do you remember the kid that like passed out?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I remember standing there. It was like right after Pete Sappin, because Pete Sappin was still doing it. And he was like, he lectured everybody because there was a bunch of kids that were like screwing around. He was like, I don't know why you guys could come out here.
Man. He was freaking everybody out.
Yeah. And then
he was just like, what are you even doing here? You're surrounded by the best drum line in the world. You don't have any questions for Scott Johnson?
Yeah. After that, I was like, damn, he's right. I need to do more. Even though I was like super stoked about it, I felt like he was talking to me. I was like, shit, am I doing something wrong? But yeah, I'll never forget that kid that just like passed out. That was so funny, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was a cool camp. They gave us like all Dynasty snare drums just for the weekend.
Yeah, that was my first time seeing Blue Devils. No, I'm sorry. My first time seeing Devs was 2007, which I was really lucky to see them because that was like finals week. They had done the Clovis show like the week before finals in the Rose Bowl Stadium.
Dang.
Yeah, but I was too young to like really remember it or compartmentalize it, so I don't really remember any of it, which is a bummer.
Sure.
So what about, when was the first year you auditioned?
I auditioned for Gold in 2009. It was like one of their late auditions in May. I think there was like 3 other snare drummers who came in and they were looking for like a 7th snare spot. So I came in May and I wasn't that great, but they liked me and they were like, all right, we'll give you a spot. You'll be on the end.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to learn the show next weekend. Okay. So trying to make it work. This is Gold was in Hawthorne, really from where I was living. And I was there for a couple camps and I learned like the opener of the show. And then my grades were too bad and I had to do summer school.
Aww.
And my dad was like, you're not doing this thing. You're going to summer school. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to complete the season, but it was probably worth it in the end. And then the year after that, I didn't end up doing any drum corps because I wanted to do world class. But in order to do world class, I would have to miss high school stuff. Yeah. So I was just like, I'll just wait till I graduate.
Right.
And then I graduated and then I auditioned for PC and I was the last snare to make PC. I think they strung me along all the way until April.
Dang.
And I finally made it.
Yeah, PC did that even when I was there. Like, well, let's just keep them on until like move-ins. I was like, till move-ins, dude. These kids got stuff to do. Long time to keep them on, dude. But that's awesome. Nice. And then you did your first year auditioning for Blue Devils was 12?
No, I auditioned for Blue Devils since 2010.
Oh, dang.
I auditioned for Blue Devils B in 2009. I did that and they liked me, but they didn't like that I lived too far because back then it was like only local kids.
Right.
And if you live far away, you had to be like really good. But they were like, okay, you kind of live too far and you're not as good as some of the other guys here. So try again next time.
Makes sense.
And I auditioned for Coates in 2010 and 2011.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, almost got a call back in 2011, but I just wasn't quite ready. And then I auditioned for Devs in 2010, and like it was like the SoCal audition. Brandon Olander was there. That was the first time I met him.
Yeah.
And then I also auditioned in 2011 at the SoCal audition. Never got a call back. The first time I got a call back was the year I made it in 2012.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you still, and I love to tell people this, like, you know, somebody asked me a question on Instagram about that last night, like, when should you audition? And I say as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like, you can't wait until you are ready to audition, because you got to learn
Yeah.
how to audition first.
Mm-hmm. Thousand
If
percent. Because every audition I went to helped prepare me for the next one.
right, yeah, and honestly, the only person I really remember, or that I can think of off the top of my head, that made Blue Devils the first time that they went out was Corey, like Corey Sages.
Oh yeah.
But that was after, that was also his age out. He had done years of like MCM and things like
Right.
that.
Right.
But I still think, like, even if you don't feel ready or you're too nervous, just go, because the way Blue Devils shape it anyway, it's a lot like it's just a clinic. They
Right.
still educate. I haven't been to maybe the SoCal one. The SoCal one's a little different. That
Yeah.
one is a little more like an audition.
Yeah, and I would recommend just going to those anyway, because even if you feel like your skills aren't great, if you show up and then they make you sit down for the whole thing,
Mhm.
at least you're around it.
Yeah,
And I feel like you never get that experience at your high school or any other program.
yeah,
Uh, as long as you're around it, as long as you're engaged, and as long as you just visualize yourself in the line, and it's all visualization. So as long as as long as your mind is there, more so than your body, I think it's a totally invaluable experience.
right. So with all those auditions that you have done, RCC, Blue Devils, even through high school, what do you have, like, any of your, like, big advice that you can give to anybody?
Um, Basically, like if I were to tell a high school kid coming into an audition, what would be
Sure.
my advice?
Yeah. Let's
Um,
let's narrow it down to, like, maybe just drum corps.
in drum corps in general, I mean, I think is just imagine what your like the dream group that inspired you and the group that you want to get to, or the style you want to get to, like your end goal. Just make sure you're always imagining yourself there, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Because when I was in high school, I would always imagine that, I'm not in high school, I'm in the Blue Devils. And when I made Pacific Crest, I was like, okay, I'm in Pacific Crest, but I'm in the Blue Devils in my mind. I'm in the greatest group in the world. And if you have that mentality, all of a sudden there's a pressure on you. Because I think the pressure at the Blue Devils to be the best was the biggest teacher. It was the biggest motivator. It
Right.
wasn't the show design was great, but the desire and the will to be the best group in the world,
Yeah.
there was just an aura around everybody that, like, I can't mess up. No one
Yeah.
needed to tell you that you can't, be a little bit late to this note or be off your dot by
Yeah.
that month. No one said, hey, you can't do that. It was just it was expected of you to be great because you were in that group. So I would tell someone, have that aura around you everywhere that you go. That a spotlight is on you and the world is watching you. So as long as you do that, it's good practice for when you eventually get there.
Right. Yeah. And then, I mean, whatever you do, ideally, that would bleed into the groups you're already in if you're trying to be the best, like that.
Exactly.
Everybody
Yeah.
around you is going to follow suit. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's really cool advice. Did you, before you started DCI, were there any, like, specific people that maybe you looked up to?
Yeah. I mean, Keelan was a big one. Um, just what I was exposed to on YouTube, back in like 2009, 2010, like those Blue Devil drum lines, um, seeing Keelan do his solos and stuff for, like the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
Blue Devil stuff on YouTube, just watching him play was like insane. So I would constantly be trying to emulate his style and what he was doing. So yeah, I think Keelan was a big one.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'd say Keelan was a big one for me too. I remember
Mhm.
in funny story though, 2009, I was at the Fresno camp. I think
Mhm.
it was. I think it was 2009. Pretty positive it was 2009. But he, what was it? He left a stand somewhere, and
Oh
then
yeah.
to top it off, he like started the block with a broken head. So we're just in front of like all these campers, and Scott just starts like, Keelan, what are you doing? So that was like the first time I'd ever met Keelan in person, and I felt bad because I kind of laughed a little bit. But I was super surprised talking to Keelan because he's so humble. Like,
Yeah.
he's just such a humble person. Like I
Yeah.
had always expected, like, dude, this is probably the greatest snare drummer I've ever seen.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, there's no way he's just gonna brush me off. Like he's not gonna want to talk to me. But I go up and I like talk to him for a second. I think I asked him for his autograph, but he
Yeah.
was he was super about it. He was super quiet. He was all about it, and it was the same way when we marched in 12. Like I was pretty
Yeah.
intimidated.
But he would
Um,
always be like, "Oh no, I can't play. Like I need to
yeah,
play."
I know.
Remember one time we were somewhere on the East Coast, and we were doing full ensemble rehearsal, and there were all these uh campers and clinicians and stuff in the stands, and the box was trying to make it interesting, so they called out from the box for people to do solos in the middle of ensemble rehearsal. They were just like, we need to spice it up. Keelan, play something. And Keelan was like, no, man, no, I don't wanna. And then it was like everyone was like, come on. He was like, ah, and then just
Ah, fine. And he just goes
like the
off.
craziest, like all this showmanship just came out, and it was just like that's just how he was. It was just like,
Yeah,
no, I don't wanna, I'm not good, it's not great. And then
I'm
he would
not
just
good.
flex the biggest, like the fastest, craziest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember him saying that a lot, dude. I'm not even good.
Yeah,
Brandon was kind of the same way. He would do the same stuff.
yeah, it's funny,
Um,
man.
so what was your first year auditioning for WGI?
Right when I graduated, I auditioned for RCC for the 2012 season.
You graduated 2011, right?
Yeah.
Same as me.
Hmm. Yeah. So auditioned for RCC. I was going to do an audition for Pulse right before then. Actually, the Pulse audition was after RCC.
Hmm.
And I think I did like a sectional with Nicole and some of those Pulse vets,
Oh,
just
that's
because
right.
I
For
think I
sure.
was just asked because I was looking at like a potential spot.
Hmm.
Um, but then once I made RCC that weekend, I obviously didn't go on with the Pulse thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, that was a dream come true right there. That was like the moment that everything was just like everything's going to change from now on.
That's
Now that I
awesome.
made RCC, and I remember driving home and just like screaming, like just so excited, just so happy,
Yeah,
just it was
that's
crazy.
so
I'll never
cool.
forget that.
Yeah, dude. So I was gonna ask. So what was it like getting, you know, your first contracts from all your places?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the moment I made RCC. I remember the moment I made Blue Devils. It was just, when they said your name. Like that's all you had. You didn't get an envelope or
Yeah.
anything, you didn't look at like a roster sheet and see your name. Everyone was sitting down, and Skojo would just, here's the snare line, and he would read the names, and like if you were, just making it for the first time, your name was usually called a little bit last, and my name was called last every single time. So they'd get to the eighth name, and I'd be like, and then the ninth name, like Henry Gillard, and I would just be like, you have to contain yourself because you're sitting down with everybody.
Right. Yeah. You can't just like freak
It was
out.
surreal, you leave your body for a second,
Yeah.
and it's something you just work so hard at for such a long time, and then when it finally happens, it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
everything's different.
Yeah. It takes a minute for it to sit in.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's super cool.
Hmm.
What do you have to say to anybody that might be on the fence about marching either DCI or WGI? You know, for any reason, it could be financial, could just be like, I don't know if it's for me.
I would say just go to a camp with someone that go with a friend. That's what I would say. If there's got to be someone around you in your program that got you into it in the first place. uh, I would say find a buddy and just go to a camp, go to an audition, or if it's in the middle of a season, go to a rehearsal if you can, and just watch it. Because it's easy to make assumptions about something when you're not actively a part of it or you're not in it. You have to involve yourself. So, and it's
Right.
easier to do that with somebody. So grab a friend and just involve yourself any way that you can.
That's cool. That's good advice. Did you ever did you ever struggle with like the financial part of it? Like, did you have trouble coming up with the tour fees? And...
Fortunately, I was, lucky enough to have parents who were able to help me financially with it all.
That's awesome.
When I got older and I was, 21, 22, and I moved out of my parents' place and I was teaching everywhere, and I was pretty financially independent for the first time. I stopped asking my parents to pay for everything. In my last 2 seasons of RCC, I paid for myself.
That's awesome.
I didn't even tell my parents, at the time my parents were living separately, and they found out years down the road, like, wait, he didn't ask you for money? It's like, I thought he asked you for money. And I just didn't ask anybody, and I didn't tell them, I was making money teaching band.
That's cool.
And I was able to pay my last two tour fees like that. However, I will say that back then it was so much cheaper and easier to march drum corps. I think
Yeah.
the first season of Blue Devils I did, if you paid early, it was like $1,900.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's double that and more. So I know there's ways to do it. I've seen people do it. I've seen people struggle and really try to fundraise. And I think the experience is more rewarding if you do that. So I would say try your very best to look for advice from people who have done it that way. Like I've heard stories of people saying, like, I reached out to Coca-Cola and asked for any amount of money, and they
Really?
sent me a check for $500
Wow.
just as a tax write-off, as like, just a benefit to a charity,
That's cool.
because companies all over are looking for ways to, to give back and
Right.
for tax reasons and whatever.
Yeah.
So I
And to
think,
them, like $500 is it's
yeah.
nothing.
And I never would have thought of doing something like that until I heard someone say it. So
Yeah. I
there's
didn't
ways to do it.
consider that
You
either.
just got to be open. You got to communicate. You got to let people know that you're having a hard time, because the worst thing you can do is just say nothing and then go, I don't have the money. Because as a person who teaches drum corps, like, come on, man, we could have worked something
Yeah.
out. You just be open. It's
Yeah.
There's a stigma behind it, and there really shouldn't be.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that. As somebody that does not just teach, but like you've run programs like that, right?
Mhm.
And you'd be the guy that like, hey man, I don't know if I can do this. I can't afford it.
Mhm.
Like you said, I think people think that you're gonna get scolded, but that's
Yeah.
every time, because I had that same problem. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. I don't.
Mhm.
It's gonna be really tight. I almost had to drop out my last year because I had
Mhm.
spent all my money, everything I had saved up on like medical bills for my mom and rent and things like that, and I wasn't met with that problem, or I wasn't met with that result. I remember
Mhm.
calling Scott and just be like, dude, I don't think I can do it. Like,
Mhm.
it's just not going to happen for me. I can't raise that much money.
Mhm.
And he was like, you know what? We'll figure it out. It's fine. Just come on. We'll figure it out.
Mhm.
So if you are struggling, I mean, it's not like we don't know. It's not like the people
Right.
that are in charge don't know that it's not expensive. We feel it too, and it sucks. Like you said, it's a lot.
Yeah. Like you said, as long as you tell someone that you're struggling and you're open about it, it's gonna go much better than the other way,
Yeah,
which is just people just start harboring resentment. Why isn't this guy paying? I don't hear anything from him.
yeah,
And I've seen that happen, admins get frustrated, and then I hear about it, and then all of a sudden when I'm teaching, it's like, this is the guy that doesn't pay,
yeah.
but it's like I didn't even talk to him yet.
Right.
So that's the worst thing you can do, is just, be silent and expect it all to go away. There
Right.
shouldn't be a stigma behind struggling to do the activity financially. It
Yeah.
happens to everybody.
Right.
So
Yeah.
don't worry about
So as you have been a successful educator in however many years it's been since you aged out of drum corps, what challenges did you feel like you were faced the most transitioning from being in drum corps
it.
to teaching drum corps to like leading some facets of drum corps?
Well, I mean, they're all very different skill sets. So being in drum corps and teaching a group is a completely different skill set. It's like playing two different sports. So I think anyone who expects it to be the same, uh, you're in for a really big shock, because it's not. I mean, I think doing drum corps is way easier than teaching it, because you just do what you're told, like you read the schedule on the board.
Yeah.
All right, there's the block breakdown. I know I'm going to get my meals, and then now I'm just a robot. I'm going to do what the staff says to do, and I'm just going to perform and execute. Easy, right? Physically, it's hard, but mentally, as long as you stay on top of your gig and just do what you're told, you'll get through the day. You know what I mean? But when you teach, you have to think of all those things. What we're going to do, what I'm going to say. You're constantly thinking all the time. You're analyzing, figuring out where the problems are, and trying to isolate and it's way more mentally exhausting
Yeah,
than it is physically
I
exhausting.
agree.
There are days like when I first started teaching drum corps at the Oregon Crusaders in 2015, I went from, being in the top group in the world all of a sudden to this, mid-tier, lower tier, world-class drum corps. And it was a complete culture shock
Yeah,
because it was just like you have to try to get the skill sets that you forgot about
yeah.
back to these guys. So and it was like, there was some days where it was like 3 4 hour blocks, all sectionals.
Oh
And it was
wow.
just me.
Oh,
And it was like,
that's awful.
it was really, really hard. So I would go to bed at night and just be like, my brain is fried.
Yeah, and that's
So,
I think that's something too that a lot of maybe a lot of students don't know
mhm.
is, when you're done for the day, the staff is still going.
Yeah.
So we pull the same 12-hour day, but then we still have work to do afterwards,
Yeah,
like
because during
planning for the
lunch, like
following
you'd
day.
grab your food and then there was a staff meeting,
Yeah,
talk about what you're going to do the next block. Like you're always working, you're
yeah,
always doing something. So as a snare tech, it was very mentally exhausting.
yeah,
And I did that for about 2 years and then focused on the battery manager thing. And then by the time I was caption head in 2018, I think the hardest thing I had to do then was all the background stuff. Like I had to let go of teaching.
yeah,
And that was really hard because I just wanted to be in front of the drum line all the time because that's the only way I felt like I had control.
yeah,
But I had to be the guy talking with Vic Firth and Remo and drum slips and trying to figure out when that's all going to get done.
yeah,
And so I had to manage orders for sticks and mallets and, cymbals like, hey, we need a replacement gong. And I'm like, I don't know anything about gongs. Like, how big is ours? I don't know. Like 50 inches? Is that big? I don't know. So like I had to like worry about all that stuff and
yeah,
talk money with the director,
yeah,
which was a really good learning experience. And then managing the staff, and telling them how the block breakdown was going to go, what we were working on. And then, you had to realize that the drumline's goals and needed to meet the core's goals. And then everything just kind of bled down from there. That was a side I never saw in drum corps, was just like, oh, I thought we were just working on getting clean. But it was like, no, like we have to fix this part of the show as a core.
yeah,
And we got to fix the color guard, we got to fix the drum line. This impact doesn't line up visually.
mm,
So everything just kind of, the whole schedule just stems from that discussion.
right,
And then it's up to you to like tell your staff, all right, you can only have an hour and a half of sectional time today. And then sometimes your staff will be like, I need 3 hours of
yeah. They
sectionals.
complain, they get all mad, and yeah,
Yeah, then you gotta be like, well, I can't give that to you, man. They'd be like,
yeah.
well, we can go drum during lunch, and then you have to put your foot down and be like, no,
No,
like
the
that's
kids need to
lunchtime.
do stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
kids need their time. Yeah, I've been on both sides of that, where I was
Hmm.
like, I was a little too like, no, this is bullshit. Like, we're not getting enough time. Like, you want us to do this, but we don't have time to do this. But I wasn't willing to like meet in the middle either, you know.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
when I got in that position where it was like, oh, that's why we can't have time.
Hmm.
That's why that won't work.
Hmm.
I think that's when it clicked. Like I figured out how to combat that
Hmm.
properly in from the eyes of the person that was maybe being unreasonable,
Sure.
But yeah, at first, like I was definitely not reasonable with all that because I
Hmm.
had that super hard, like, dude, let's go, like, we gotta pick them up, let's go, let's do something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But what do you like? What do you think was your biggest learning experience through all of that? Like your journey till now as an educator, what's like the biggest thing that you've learned from?
Um, it's a hard question. I would say the biggest thing I learned from is, don't worry so much about what you're trying to do personally. Just try to focus on the experience of the members, and talk to the members and just make sure you know what they want. Because I'm not that old, but as I'm getting older, what the kids want out of drum corps is changing. And it's not necessarily the same either. Because I know what I wanted out of drum corps, but that might not be what they want. So you need to get on the same page with what your members want and then try to give them that experience. Because if I just didn't talk to them, I would just be like, well, you guys want the glory, right? You want the glory. You want to perform at finals, right? So we're gonna treat you like that. And it was different. So you just got to talk to your members and understand why they're there, what they want to get out of the experience. Either it's like, I want to play clean, um, I want to have fun with my friends,
Yeah.
I want to get better fit. I want to like get myself fit and active and in shape.
Yeah.
I want to become a better drummer. I want to become a better musician. I want to win. Like everyone's like coming at you with different stuff. Like some people will be straight up and say, "Well, I want to eventually outgrow this group and end up, I want to do
Yeah.
Mandarin or Vanguard."
Yeah.
And then you gotta have to like, all right, I gotta cater to you.
Yeah.
So sometimes what the kids tell me what they want, it affects my staffing decisions
Hmm.
because they'll be like, I want to learn this style, and I have to go, well, we don't have anyone on this staff that teaches that style, but I know somebody, and then I'll contact someone, all of a sudden they're on staff.
That's really cool. That's super cool to know that you take it to heart like that intensely, if that's how we would say that.
Yeah.
Um,
And then as a designer or an arranger or just a creative in general, after you do that, then you can kind of impart what you want. I'm not gonna be like, all right, this year we're only playing rolls, or this year we're only playing paradiddles. Why? Because that's what I want to do. And then as long as you've got everyone on that page, it's easier for them to get on your page.
right. Yeah, dude. If you see that you're investing, or if they see that you're investing in them, they'll be more willing to invest in you. That's
For
super
sure.
cool. I'm gonna check some questions really quick. I know we have one. Let me see. Somebody asks, what was your favorite show when you were marching? Oh, did he freeze? Oh, you still there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, my favorite drum corps show was 2014. That was a great show to perform. And my favorite indoor show would probably be RCC. Gosh, this is a hard one. Probably 12.
Yeah,
That was really fun. It was fun to be aggressive.
that one
Um,
was.
it
Ooh.
was either 12 or 2016. Because 16 was also a really fun show to perform.
Yeah. Which one was 16? That was
That was Bound as the Heart.
That's right. I oh. Ooh, man, I love that show. That one was so cool. Especially
Yeah.
the closer like snare break you guys had. Probably
Yeah.
one of the coolest like voiceover moments I've ever seen in WGI.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to Jim Wunderlich.
Yeah. Who arranges for the pit? Is it Jim?
Yeah, it's Jim.
Who does it
Nowadays,
now?
I think it's Brian.
Brian?
But
Okay.
but yeah, back then it was Jim, and Jim would show up to rehearsals and wouldn't say much. He would just kind of stand really far back and listen, and you
Yeah.
could tell if he really liked something, he would just kind of nod, and that was it.
Yeah.
But usually things were bad, so
Oh,
he would always be trying to fix the show all the time.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I remember 2016 was the first show that when I heard it back, I was like, this is different because the soundscape is so mature.
Hmm.
Like just the way sounds are integrated into the show, like that was all brand new. Because before then we were kind of scratching the surface in 2015,
Yeah.
but then all these sound layers started happening in 2016.
Hmm.
That was the reason why, when our electronics failed at semifinals, we refused to perform the show without electronics because we were just like, it's not the same
You
show.
need it. Yeah. You gotta have it. So yeah, what happened with that? Was that just like
Yeah, just I mean, this connection failure, and then we kind of just spent 10 minutes trying to hardwire the board to where it needed to be connected to. So it was a lot of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
I think Brian Dinkle had his work cut out for him in
Yeah,
that
he-
10 minutes. I'm sure it felt like an hour to him, but looking back, I'm very glad that that happened because it led to like one of the greatest performances I've ever done. So
Yeah, I
the
remember
day
watching-
after was just insane.
Yeah, I remember watching both semis and that. I felt so bad for semis
Yeah.
because I was like, oh no, it's
Yeah.
got to be like the worst feeling. Because I
Yeah,
remember,
but all that emotion and everything, it just
yeah,
it fueled us to just be like,
The next
all right,
day.
we can do we can get last place tomorrow or we can get first place. Who cares? Let's
Yeah.
just I think it was the first time you saw an ensemble like that, like come out of the gate just pissed off,
Yeah.
didn't care. We were just gonna lay it
Yeah.
down.
That's definitely what it felt like when I saw you guys
Yeah.
coming out. Like nobody was like talking, nobody was really joking around. You guys were all just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go.
Yeah. It
That's
was
cool.
crazy how clean it was. It was just like, wow, we'd never played that clean at a single rehearsal. Like what happened?
Just happened. Just took
It just
electronics,
happened.
dude. That's
Yeah.
all it took. So, what advice for educators, going back to like education and things like that, what advice do you have for educators that are maybe new to teaching or fresh out
Mm.
of drum corps? Specifically, like the mindset of coming back from that drum corps mindset to a younger high school setting.
Um, don't expect your members to be as motivated or as passionate as you are. And don't try to hammer in that motivation and that passion. It happens over time. So as long as you're there and consistent and you're constantly working with an individual and showing them stuff that's cool and just trying to ignite that spark is really, really important. But you are going to get kids that are just there because it's a PE credit or their parents are forcing them to, and they're not really
Yeah,
interested. Just try to find something else that you feel like can interest them a little bit more and try to light a little bit of a spark, and maybe that'll help it. I think it's really hard when you come off of a season of drum corps and you come back to a high school level and you're mad at your students because they're not giving the same drive and energy that you were just doing. But there's a disconnect there. So just be patient, and just be around,
right.
as much as you can to have them understand your reasoning for being so passionate, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, that's good advice. Do you have like one trick up your sleeve that kind of that you use to spark an interest in the activity for kids that are maybe just like, eh, just like,
Yeah, don't be afraid to take the time just to stop rehearsal and watch a video,
okay,
because you're telling these kids how to drum according to a picture in your brain of what you want them to look like. The best thing you can do is just give them that picture because they can't physically know what to do or how to look until you show them. Then they can visualize kind of how it's supposed to be. So if you're constantly teaching and you don't ever show your kids what you're thinking of when you teach, they're never really going to get it. So, and it's totally fine. I think it's more productive to stop drumming for a block
yeah,
and just have each other share videos of what you guys are inspired by.
right. That's cool. That's really cool. So yeah, going on to your book. This was your first book that you've written, right?
Yes, sir.
That's cool, man.
Absolutely.
So could you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it? What you got?
This is it. It's called In Your Hands. Um, this kind of whole thing started when I was right when 2020 happened, like January 1st. I decided I really want to write a book. I don't really know why. I think I just know I really want one.
Wow, so you
I know
did
I
that
remember
really
drum
quick.
books. Yeah, I mean, it was. I've always written licks, and I just figured I could put it all in a book, easy. And then I was like, oh crap, this is actually a lot harder than I thought. Um, because writing stuff, I've been doing it forever. That was pretty easy for me. But actually compiling it, making it look good, finding the right, font for stuff, and then getting a graphic designer to help me with the cover. Um, and I just had to talk to a lot more people outside of drumming to try to figure that out because I knew I wanted it to be different in some way. So that's the way that I would always get something right in my head was to talk to people about what I'm doing all the time. So I just get more feedback and also new ideas start popping up. So I would tell people I'm writing a book, but I want it to be different. Um, and then someone said to me that, oh, you should make it a photo book, like a coffee table book. Because I knew a couple things. I just knew I wanted it to be a physical copy, and I knew I wanted it to be called In Your Hands for that reason. And they said, oh, well, then you should make it beautiful looking, like make it like a coffee table book. So I was like, that's actually great. It's a
Yeah, it
great
does.
idea.
It looks really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got in touch with a photo book company called Blurb, and that's where the site is being sold on. So they only sell these photo books with photographers and like if you want your wedding photos published in a nice book, that's how they do it. So I think mine's the only music book available on that website.
That's
They
awesome.
didn't even have a category for me. So I had to
Ooh,
file it under like education. They didn't have music or anything.
that's cool. So you're opening
Yeah.
doors,
So
dude. Look at you.
yeah. So I mean I tried to get it. I have like five prototypes at my house. Like one was from Amazon Publishing, which like the paper was kind of like thin and like it felt like computer paper and I didn't really like it. But then when I got with this company and I felt it and I like was able to hold it and I was just like, like the sheen that it gets and just the the bind of it all was just like this feels really good to hold.
Yeah.
Like this is it.
I was gonna say it looks super professionally made.
Yeah. And the print inside, it's like it's very,
Yeah.
very glossy and just the way that the photos look so high def. It's like it's so weird because when you're reading from a book, it's always black and white.
Yeah.
And like over a long period of time, if you're doing a practice session, those black and white dots on the page can just get like
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, where am I? It's just like it gets really weird and you have to like look away for a while. It's like,
Yeah.
reading a plain book for a long time.
Yeah.
Your head just kind of like gets a little bit fuzzy. So I was like, I'll make it something like really good to look at. So, and it was obvious to me who I wanted to work with, which was Brandon, because he takes so many great
Yeah.
photos. So when I pitched the idea to him, he was all for it. He's
That's awesome.
so yeah, I'm super glad with the way that it turned out, and like I said, starting in January to from its inception to where it is now, it was like a 6 month process,
Wow.
off and on, just coming back to it, working with it. And when lockdown happened, it was really easy for me to just focus on
Yeah.
it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's good, man. That's super cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask how long it took you to just like write all that. What took longer? Was it the writing process or was it kind of the organizing and compiling
No, the
process?
writing process took a couple weeks because I already had stuff that I wanted to put in the book, and then I wrote a couple new pieces, and that didn't take long at all. But compiling them, putting them in order, creating a table of contents, creating a cover, creating a back cover, and then working with different publishing companies to try to figure out how to put it all together, that took a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, do you think that being a performer in all these groups, or even just being a teacher, do you think that is influencing how you create content? Because I mean, you have some great content on Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it all starts with getting inspired by something. So sometimes it's seeing a piece of content and that makes me want to drum and that makes me want to do something, and I think Instagram and YouTube has all this great content of drummers doing really cool stuff. And I always kind of like look at that and it gets me like, oh, dude, like I want to do something again. So I'm hoping that that has the same effect on some people that see my stuff and then more content just keeps getting made. In the era that we're in right now, it feels like the only thing that we have is this content uh, that's being put out there, so by individuals or marching vlogs, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It's really all we have is just this digital medium. So
Mhm.
as much as I can, I want to try to create content, but it's sometimes it can be a lot because I'm not the kind of guy that likes to just film myself at my desk and just play something and then
Yeah.
post it. Like I'm always in the post-production process, and it's funny, like I have like an archive of stuff that I could probably put on Instagram, but I just don't like the way my hands look, or
Yeah.
there's just like, oh, that one diddle.
Yeah.
It's like that drum corps style is ingrained in my brain. Like people
Right.
don't care, just post it.
Yeah. I'm trying to fight that still. I've talked about that a little bit every time, but
Mm.
like I'm trying to fight that not shame. What's self consciousness?
Yeah.
Where it's like I know I'm good, but I just always have felt like unless I'm with other
Yeah.
people, like I don't like when the spotlight's directly on me. I don't know, but I'm really trying to fight that now, especially because yeah, we are in lockdown, and
Mm.
I gotta do something. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to shut that part of your brain off.
Yeah.
For me, it's easier just to go, hey, no one cares. No one's even gonna watch it, and then just upload it.
And then everybody starts watching it. And...
Yeah. Then you just put the phone away and just
Yeah.
be like, it
All right,
exists.
it's
Whatever,
there.
I'll check it tomorrow.
Just don't read the comments. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
I tell myself that too. Like, just do it. Don't read the comments. It's all good.
Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly.
everybody from what I've seen has loved everything you're doing.
Thanks,
Do
man.
you have another book plan? Like, are you gonna do more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you can see, this is in your hands, volume one. Uh, so that means there's going to be more stuff after it. How many? I don't know. I've always written down everything that I've taught my students. So I have like
Ooh, that's
this
cool.
whole archive of basic primers and stuff to focus on things from a section of show music.
That would be good.
So I've always envisioned that as being a book for instructors
That's cool.
if you don't have anything to work on, just pull out the book and pick a page. It'll all be like triplet timing, 16th notes, double beat, accent tap,
That's awesome.
modulations, and then just pick a page that you think the group is struggling with, and there will just be a list of stuff to work on.
That would be, yeah.
But that
would
book's got to be
great.
like hundreds of pages long,
Yeah, and
so that's going to take a while.
yeah, that's cool, man. That's awesome.
I think Gridbook has already done that though, so just
Probably,
buy
yeah.
that book.
Yeah, just buy Gridbook.
do
Sponsored by
that.
Gridbook.
Yes. What's up, Mark?
Yeah, what's up, Mark? That's funny. Cool, man. So yeah, I think that's all the questions I got. Let me see. Oh, Brian Kurzweil says, what's that? Says, I don't think Henry marched a single show that I don't enjoy a lot.
Thanks, man. I did it all by myself.
It was all Henry. It was Henry CC, not RCC.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah, anytime. And I would like to bring you back again, when you have your next book and talk about
Yeah,
all
of
that
course.
stuff. So yeah, I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Joey.
Yeah, see you, buddy.
You have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
All right. Let me switch it on over here. Cool, man. So that is another one in the books. Thank you guys again for being here for this one. Join me next Sunday. I'll have another guest next Sunday. I can't say exactly who it is yet. But I can tell you that I have some really, really, really exciting stuff coming up. A lot of really cool guests lined up. I won't mention them because I don't have an exact date for those people, but I do have some awesome people that are going to be here. Hey, Henry, super chill, Joey, and getting better and better. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, I got lots of cool stuff planned. That's about it. That's all I got to say right now. Just stick around, stay tuned. I really hope you guys get to see all the stuff I'm doing. Share with your friends. The bigger that stuff gets, the more that it supports me and what I'm doing. And yeah, like I said, if you guys have any other questions, like always, feel free to reach out to Henry. Again, he's super humble. He's super cool. He is very, very easy to talk to. I got 2 chains next weekend. It's actually... Well, I can't tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. 2 chains. Oh my god. But no, yeah, Henry is seriously, everybody I've had so far is super cool to talk to. They're easy to talk to. If you have any questions that maybe you don't feel comfortable talking about on here, just send him a private message. He is more than happy to talk to that, I'm sure. Pick up his book. Like he said, it is different. It's very different from any of the other technique lick books that I've ever seen. It really is super pretty to look at. Also, little side plug, go check out Brandon Godalia and his photography. Like he said, he's the one that took all the photos in the book. He also did all the shots for my wedding, so of course I'm gonna be a little biased towards his stuff. But he is amazing with the stuff that he captures. He's such a great guy, such a humble guy. If you have questions for him about any of the photography stuff that he does, video capture stuff he does, I'm sure he would be happy to talk to you. I believe he also sells his prints, so I mean, you can check him out. But yeah, In Your Hands, Volume 1. Hit up Henry, check his website. Like he said, I think it's blurb.com. That's where he says it. I don't know. I think it's still 25% off. But yeah, it's definitely a good time to check it out. Even if you already know all the stuff, just go check it out. Buy his book. Support Henry. He deserves your support. He's putting it out there and he's doing it for everybody. So make sure you support him. Even just to share to your profile will help him out immensely, I'm sure. So yeah, thank you guys very much. I very much appreciate it. I will be back this week. I have some cool stuff planned this week. I want to do more stuff with the drum set like I was doing this past week. I do want to post a couple videos coming up. It would be cool if we could do maybe even some community licks. Maybe see if we can do a little community night like that. Yeah, that's about it. All I got. Sorry, that is about all I have today. And I should interview a field judge. Actually, that's a great idea. Maybe I've already thought of it. Maybe. Anyway, yeah, amazing content. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys back later on this week. See you later, guys.